Is Matt here today?
Yeah, he's not going to that.
Oh,
Thank you.
We're getting to this.
Oh,
We're getting to
all right.
the time.
it is 5:30, so we will start this meeting, this regular meeting of the Nampa School District trustees. And we will begin with a pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Tyler, I should have checked with you to make sure you're good to go. All right, well, welcome all the guests here today. Maybe we'll have one or two more at 6. And we'll now go to our mission and vision. Trustee Jennings, let us, go ahead and lead us.
Okay. The mission of the Nampa School District is to ensure high levels of achievement for every student. Every student is fully engaged in extraordinary learning experiences, preparing for the successful transition to the next stage of life.
Boy, we just sound so excited and motivated, don't
We do.
we? We're here. All right. Next item on the agenda is an action item for an approval of the agenda.
Motion moved.
Second.
It's moved and seconded to accept the agenda. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Before we move into the next item, I just want to excuse Trustee Taylor. She will not be with us tonight. And I will entertain a motion to move into executive session.
Chair, I move that we move into executive session per Idaho Code 74-2061B and D. B, to consider the evaluation, dismissal, or disciplining of, or to hear the complaints or charges brought against a public officer, employee, staff member, or individual agent or public school student. And D, to consider the records that are exempt from disclosure as provided in Chapter 1, Title 74 of Idaho Code.
Okay, we'll move in. Oh, I better get
Second. I second.
a motion. We have a motion and a second. Clerk, will you call the roll?
Chairperson,
Yes.
Trustee Jennings,
Aye.
Trustee Benz.
Aye.
Trustee Barry.
Aye.
All right, we will move into executive session. We'll reconvene at 6 o'clock. Someone opened the doors while we were gone.
Trustees, tonight we have the pleasure of having Endeavor Elementary and some of their leadership students here. I'm going to have Mr. and Ms. Yarborough, the principal over at Endeavor, come and share a little bit about their program.
Chair Kirkman, trustees, Dr. Russell, NSD staff, and guests, thank you for the opportunity to be here. My name is Heather Yarbrough, and I'm the principal at Endeavor Elementary. Tonight, we have our student leadership students here to present a little bit about what they're doing, not only at our school, but also within the community. And we're super excited to share all the amazing work they're doing. We're going to start off with Lexi Burnell, who is the teacher who's leading all this work. So thank you again
Right
for being
on.
here.
Thank you.
Good evening. I'm sorry about my voice. Good evening, Chair Kirkman, Board of Trustees, Dr. Russell, NSD staff, and guests. Thank you for inviting us to share about our student leadership program at Endeavor. Endeavor is very fortunate to have strong systems in place to support students who need extra help with academics and behavior. However, we noticed a gap when it came to supporting and challenging the students who show up every day and consistently live out our school pillars of kindness, respect, safety, presence, and responsibility without even needing a reminder. There are students, these are the students you can always count on, the ones who quietly do the right thing and serve as role models for others. That's where the idea for our Endeavor student leadership team was born. Last year, we invited all interested 3rd and 4th graders, now currently 4th and 5th graders, to go through an extensive application process that included self-reflection, input from their classroom teacher, a letter of recommendation from an Endeavor staff member, and an agreement of parent participation. After reviewing the application, we selected 24 dedicated student leaders who are ready to do the hard work of growing as leaders and making Endeavor and our community a better place. Next slide. We kicked off our program with our Student Leadership Summit, a 5-day event during the summer focused on learning and reflecting on our key leadership qualities, learning and serving in our community, and brainstorming ways that we can make Endeavor better. This summit laid the foundation for all that we're doing this school year. Next slide. Fast forward to today, our Endeavor student leadership team has already accomplished some amazing things. We designed a mural for our school, something that we envisioned during our leadership summit. We spent several weeks training to take over our school's daily morning announcements, and we are now preparing to lead our weekly whole school assembly called Rocket Rally. Next slide. We've also had 2 Leaders in Action events. These are monthly events where we go and we learn from and serve the community around us. In September, we served at the Little Learners Daycare. And then just this last Friday, we visited the Nampa Fire Department to learn how they use teamwork as leaders in our community. These are the big, exciting accomplishments, but what often goes unseen and makes the greatest impact is how our student leaders show up in their classrooms every single day. Each week, we begin our meetings with a leadership lesson where we dig deeper into one of our core leadership characteristics. Then students take what they've learned and apply it to their classrooms and throughout the school. Here are just a few examples of how our students are showing up as leaders at our school each day. One of our student leaders volunteered to sit with kindergartners on his bus to help out the bus driver. Another group of students helps our custodial staff by checking the bathrooms at the end of the day to make sure they are clean. Others give up part of their recess to clean the cafeteria. These are just a few examples of how our student leaders are choosing to make Endeavor a better place each day. Last slide. In conclusion, the goal of Endeavor student leadership is to strengthen the leadership qualities already present in our students through mentorship, self-reflection, and meaningful learning experiences. We also provide opportunities for our student leaders to practice leadership by leading and serving in various ways around our school and community. This is just the beginning. We can't wait to see the continued impact our program will have on our students, our school, and the Nampa community. Thank you. And now we will hear from some of our student leaders.
Pull that microphone right down in front of your mouth. All right. There you go.
Can you hear me? Okay, thank you. Dear Chair Kirkman, right? Board of Trustees, NSD staff, and Assistant Superintendent Yarbrough. Hello, my name is Aiden, and I'm going to tell you about the journey on how I and our leadership committee became leaders. It all started with our principal, Ms. Yarbrough, telling us we have a chance to be the first leaders in a whole school to and we had to tell why we wanted to be leaders and how we can help as a leader. We gave our reasons and signed up. When it was the day for our teachers to call out the student names, I was never more nervous in my life. But then my teacher said my name, and I got excited and stuff. Yeah. And that was how I and our leadership committee became leaders. We all knew that we had a lot to explore and a lot of adventures. We have done everything from volunteering, to working on being better leaders. Also, in summary, from my experience being a leader so far, is I have been learning to listen to others and take their ideas as an idea, their advice as an idea. And that is what the process is to be a leader in Endeavor Elementary. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Well done, Aiden.
Chair Kirkman, trustees, Dr. Russell, NSD staff, and guests. My name is Harper. I'm a fifth grader at Endeavor Elementary. The leadership program has been a fun and rewarding opportunity this last year. During our time in leadership, we have come together to find ways we can improve our experience at school. One of the first things we did was make the decision to add a mural in our hallway. The mural represents us Rockets at Endeavor. Our leadership team thought about filling the walls with color, paintings, and pictures to make them less empty. When we thought of the idea to do a mural was when we went and observed East Valley Middle School and Columbia High School. Some students in leadership noticed that their walls were full of murals, pictures, so we thought, let's fill our hallway. We put it near the cafe so every student and teacher can enjoy it before going to lunch. It turned out amazing, and we would love for you to come see it. We also improved our playground by thinking about repainting the games that we have on the blacktop at recess. We also thought about adding a no ball zone near the fence so equipment doesn't go over. The last thing we did was fix the tetherball because a few fell off the rope. Us leaders are always trying to follow our pillars: safe, kind, respectful, responsible, and present. We always find new and interesting ways to improve our school. Thank you.
Thank you.
Chair Kermit, trustees, Dr. Russell, NSC staff, and guests. My name is River, and I am a student leader at Endeavor. At Endeavor, leadership kids get to pick a job. I chose to help with announcements. During morning announcements, we help tell about important things like STEAM Night and Red Ribbon Week, events that come up. For example, every month we focus on a new pillar so students can follow the pillars. Our pillars are safe, kind, respectful, responsible, and present. A new thing we're doing with announcements is shadows. Shadows are a way for students to shout out a student that are doing good and following the pillars. At the end, we do our morning chant to remind we are respected, valued, and loved. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Chair Kirkman, Board of Trustees, Dr. Russell, NSC staff, including Assistant Superintendent Yarbrough, I mean my dad, and guests. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to you tonight. My name is Greta Yarbrough, and I am part of our Endeavor leadership team. Being a leader at Endeavor is not always fun and games. Sometimes it can be downright stinky. Part of our responsibility is caring for our bathrooms at the end of the school day. Some students make poor choices in our bathrooms, so Jaylene, Kellen, and I help at the end of the day so our janitors are not left with the mess. Being part of this end-of-day task has taught us the importance of taking care of our school, including the bathrooms, and making sure we clean up after ourselves. I just wish all Endeavor students would do the same. And with the help of our student leadership group, I know we are setting a great example for the rest of them. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Chairman Kirkman, Board of Trustees, Dr. Russell, NSD staff, and guests. My name is Afton Cardosa, and my daughter is a student leader. As a parent, I've had the privilege of watching my daughter grow through the experiences in student leadership. It's been truly transformative, not just for her, but for so many of her peers. She's become more confident, more thoughtful, and more driven. I have seen her learn how to listen, how to lead with empathy, and how to face challenges head on. Student leadership has given her a voice, and more importantly, it has taught her how to use it for the good of others. It is inspiring to see students supporting one another, stepping up and building a stronger school community. These aren't just skills for the classroom they are learning, they are life skills, and I'm so grateful she's had the chance to develop them at Endeavor Elementary. Thank you.
Chair Kirkman, trustees, and Dr. Russell, thank you so much for inviting our Endeavor student leaders to come and share. We are so proud of them, and so it's been an honor to get to come and show them off to you. Did you have any questions for us before we close?
Trustees, any questions? And I'll add any comments.
I'll just say kudos to the parents, for raising such bright, driven, responsible children. It's a blessing in our eyes to see that in our schools. And the staff, well done. Well done. Not discrediting the staff by any means, but good job, parents.
I'd love to take a moment to thank our parents too. Part of this application process was a commitment from students, but it was also a commitment from their families, right? To support them in being part of this team, but also to bringing them to meetings, to these events that you got to hear about, and to our summit that we had in the summertime. So their involvement has made this possible too. So we're so grateful for them as well.
Yeah.
Right.
I was looking at, we always recite our mission statement and vision statement when we open up our regular board meetings. And I was looking at this vision statement again as I was listening to the students. Every student is fully engaged in extraordinary learning experiences, preparing for successful transition to the next stage of life. And the word that kept popping into my mind as I was listening to these fantastic students is empowerment. And, kudos to the staff and to the vision that the Endeavor Elementary leadership has to allow the students and to empower the students to step into that leadership role. And for this young man right here who was really nervous to begin with and then excited when they called his name. I mean, what an empowering situation to put these young kids into. And I think that's just fantastic. And it goes straight to what our vision is for this district is giving these young kids extraordinary learning experiences. And so I can't say enough. I got tingles all over and goosebumps. I just love it. And thank you so much for taking the time to come here and present. Now these shirts, I want to see these shirts around town. Like when I go into Walmart, I've run into Mr. Yarbrough at Walmart before. And the next time I do that, I want to see you wearing your t-shirt there. So I know all around town and everyone knows that we got exceptional leaders at Endeavor Elementary. It's wonderful. Anything else, trustees?
No, I just think this is very exciting. And I guess I do have a question for the student leaders. So all of you are in 5th grade currently, yes?
Or fourth.
Or 4th. Okay. That was going to be the question. So how are you making sure that you are passing the baton on to the next group of student leaders? Do you guys have a plan for that? Have you talked about it at all?
We've not shared this with students yet, I don't think.
We
But
don't want you to say anything you don't want to say right now. Don't let the cat out of the bag.
part of our hope is for this coming summer that our current fifth graders will help to lead our incoming team of student leaders through that week of learning and brainstorming together. And we'll open applications in the springs for current third and fourth graders to build our team for next year. And we hope that our current fourth graders will stay on with us too.
But for the fifth graders moving on into sixth grade, what a fantastic opportunity to take what you've learned at Endeavor and move that into the middle school. And you can be that force to sit down with the administration in middle school and say, this is what we're going to do. Because we've already done it and we know that it works.
Yep.
All right, this is awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah,
Thank you.
It's great.
Thank you so much. Another round of applause. Before we move on to the next action item, we will give a quick pause here. If anybody would like to leave, you're more than welcome to. We're not going to hold you hostage here. If you don't want to stay, that's fine. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Good job, Aiden. You bet.
Thank you. Okay, Dr. Russell, next on our agenda is an audit presentation.
Yeah, Chair Kirkman, trustees. For you tonight, we have Mr. Dewey is out, but I believe he might be online. We do have a presentation we're going to share around the audit. Tyler's going to go ahead and bring that up. Every year we do have an audit where they overlook our financials, and we do bring a report back to the board. And so we do have some folks from, I hope I say this correctly, Eddie Bailey. Ide Bailey. Phonetically, I was going back to my third grade roots, and I was going to say it should have been Ide, but I wasn't sure. That's why I said Eddie Bailey, but Ide Bailey is here as well to answer some questions with that. So I don't know, Tyler, if we're ready to go ahead and queue up Mr. Dewey's presentation. It is recorded, but I believe Mr. Dewey is online as well. We can answer questions if we need to.
Okay.
Thanks, everybody. Sorry I can't be here today. I'm actually at a conference over in Fort Worth today. So we wanted to make sure the auditors were able to present today. So I wanted to give a brief introduction to them and to give you a little understanding of what I think and how well the audit went this year. So as you guys can see in the audience right now, we have the audit was conducted by Ide Bailey, LLP. We've had them for a few years, ever since I've actually been here. That's who we've had. Ide Bailey in the area, actually in the nation, is actually considered one of the biggest experts in governmental accounting, which is one of the reasons I like to keep them here and using us, because they have great information. They have people actually at the national level doing things in the governmental accounting world, and it makes it for a big difference that we're actually getting conducted a really good governmental audit, which I think is very important for our district. Our audit, as for everything else, is always conducted in accordance with the government accounting standards, and that way we know it's done. It adheres to the state rules, regulations, and nationally as well. The one different thing about this year, which is not normal, is our federal audit, which they've actually done the testing, but they can't finalize anything yet because our federal government hasn't finished the compliance supplement that actually tells them all the actual things they need to test for our single audit and our federal audits. We know pretty much most of the stuff they have. They don't change that much, but until it's actually published by the government, we can't actually finalize it. So we might be coming back a little later and getting an approval on just the single audit later, as soon as the federal government gets back and can approve this. And to let everybody know, we had no material adjustments this year at all, which was a good thing. We tried to strive for that, and I think everything worked really well for us this year. A couple highlights I wanted to make sure you guys understood. I know the auditors are going to go over this with you as well, but I wanted to kind of talk to you about it myself as well. If you look at the first few pages of the report, it's called the Management Discussion and Analysis. That's actually a really good summary for the main things that the district had financially at the first couple pages. And then it actually explains a little bit more about the financial statements as well that you'll be looking through down below, because no one I know is expert at governmental financial statements. So it actually gives a good understanding for anybody that's really interested in this. If you look at the first couple statements, that's the statement of net positions and activities. I'm going to tell you, this isn't something that you guys will probably want to focus on. This is a government accounting way of trying to make them look like regular financial statements of a for-profit. In land of governmental accounting, we don't really care about assets, liabilities, and that type of stuff. And those are the type of things that the auditors do care about, and our lenders and all different areas like to care about. So we add things like our fixed assets back in, we add things like our debt back in, and we do some other things like our pension and all that kind of stuff, which really isn't irrelevant to our day-to-day things, but does make a difference in the overall health of the district. So that's what those are for. So the big ones I really want you to focus on when the auditor talks today is really look at the ending fund balance, the fund balance financials that are on the next couple pages. You'll look at our fund balances are still good. We're still where we want to be. And our change in fund balance actually looks like we used a lot of money, but reality is a majority of that was actually our supplemental levy things that we were doing with our very big projects we did last year with our West remodel, our Snake River remodels, and all of our activities, things with the new turfs and the fields and all that kind of stuff in the tracks. So it was a planned use of those monies. So if you look at that and it says almost $6 million over budget, it was actually very much planned that we did it that way. So that just want to make sure you guys are okay with that. When you look at some of the other items in the financials, you'll actually see note 2. That's our cash and investments. You're going to see a lot of money sitting in there right now, and majority of it, just let you guys know, especially that Mountain America one, that is the one you guys allowed me to put some money in there to get a little bit better investment money than the LGIP, and that's the 521 money that we've got in there. We've got almost we got $45 million in there. We got another $5 million of that sitting in the LGIP for easier use, and all that's doing is making us money and interest revenue that we're using for next year's money that we're using for our lottery replacement, basically our property maintenance money. So the other one I really want you to look at is note 7, which is bonds. This is going to be our last payment. Our last payment was made September of 2025, so we are actually officially out of debt. This bond, this year end is actually 6/30 report, so it assumes we still have one more payment. So you're going to look at that and say, hey, no, I thought we were done. Nope, we have one more payment. You can see the current is out there, and we're 100% done with that. Notes 8 through 10, that's the pension and our other post-employment benefits. And honestly and truly, I don't think you need to worry about these at all. A while back, the government thought that we needed to take some sort of a portion of what our liability could be if Percy was to go under and all that kind of stuff. Even our bond regulators, all those type of things, so when they come and rate us, they know Idaho is one of the most healthy pension programs in the state. We're by law obligated to be at least 90% funded, and therefore we are sitting at a good spot. So really these don't really affect us whatsoever in anything, but they are things that we need to do with the governmental accounting standards to make sure they work. The other areas we need, you'll look at on page 60 as the other financial information. And this is some actually good information. This is required by the bond companies because they wanted some more additional debt. We'll probably leave these in going forward still, because there's some really good information about what our taxes are like, what our local money's coming from, what the state was giving us, and it's kind of our breakdown of how different things worked for us over the last 5 years. So it's really good information I think you guys would like to see in there. The next steps, what we need from you. Right now, you're looking at a draft of the audit report right now. So hopefully you will approve this draft. If you have any questions, the auditors are going to be there to be able to answer those questions. The final report, as soon as you guys are approving, they will get the final report out to me next week. Do the last parts. No changes will be made to it, but they are going to get that out so we can get that submitted to the state by the end of the month. And then once I get that in the month, I have another financial download that I have to do directly from our system to their system, and that is also due at the end of the month. If those two things are not done, then the state will not pay us our November payment. So those are very important, or we will not have a payment for our next November payment, which will be millions of dollars that will be held on until we actually get that. Thanks, everybody. Sorry again, I can't be there today. Hope everything goes well with the presentation with Ide Bailey. If you have any additional questions, please feel free to reach out to me, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can.
Voice
Good
mic.
evening, Chair Kirkman, trustees, and Dr. Russell. I'm Kelly Berge. I'm a senior manager with Ide Bailey and was part of the audit team for Nampa School District. So I believe you have a copy of the audit report in front of you. Okay, so page 2 is the independent auditor's report. So the important part on there is our opinion. And so we've determined that the financial statements were presented fairly and that we didn't have any material adjustments. So on the second page of that report, we do talk about the required supplementary information, and that includes the management discussion and analysis, the schedule of revenue expenditures and changes in fund balances. That's towards the back of the financial statements, and the schedule of changes in OPEB and the schedule of changes in employer's share of OPEB liability. All that information is required to be in the report, but we don't opine on that, but we do review it as part of our procedures. And then the last paragraph on that report refers to another report, which is at the back of the financial statements, which is on page 69. And this is a required report from Government Accounting Auditing Standards. And we call it a yellow book report, but it's a report on internal control. And on that report, we indicate that we did not identify any deficiencies in internal control or any material weaknesses. So those are the important parts of those reports. As Randy mentioned, the management discussion and analysis, that's on page 5. That's written by management and gives a really good overview of the activity over the last year. And then the fund statements that he mentioned start on page 20 and kind of gives a overview of how the school district operated throughout the year and shows those fund balances. The change in fund balances is the financial resources that you used, and then the ending balance that you have as year end. The next item that I'll go over is a letter that we present to you as well. It's a letter called those charged with governance. And in this letter, we highlight any significant estimates that are in and were required to in the financial statements. And these include the estimate for the net pension liability and the other post-employment benefit estimate as well. Also included on this letter is any adjustments that were passed on. So we call these past adjustments. These are items that we identified during our audit work that could require a change, but management decided not to go make that change, which is fine. It's below our materiality level. So we just discussed those in this letter. We had an adjustment to, there was not an adjustment made to the fair market value for the State Modernization Fund. The second one was there was not an accrual for the Jewel settlement, and that was $48,000. And then we did notice an error related to a lease, and it was just overstated by $200,000. But Randy can talk about those in more depth if you have any questions about those. Any questions on the financial statements that I could answer?
Trustees, any questions? If I don't know if this is an appropriate question to ask, but sometimes these financial statements and these reports, there's just a ton of good information. And I think it's when the public and our patrons see this, because they're monitoring all the finances and everything that's going on in the school district. If I could just ask you, and I understand if you don't want to respond, but on a scale of 1 to 10 with the district's financial stability and where we're at, where might we be on a scale of 1 to 10?
I don't know if that's a good question to answer. Just based
I
on
know,
how the
that's why I
funding works
prefaced
for
it
the
so
school
much.
district. Yes. I think that's definitely something that Randy could speak
I'll
to.
ask Randy.
But, you can look at the statements, you can look at that
Yeah.
management discussion and analysis, and then also looking at those fund statements of seeing like how much was used, how the money is used
Yeah.
would be a good place to really look at that
Okay.
information.
I appreciate your response. And I kind of figured that. I think that was all I was going to ask.
I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
So just out of curiosity, Randy had mentioned that, Mr. Dewey had mentioned that we're still waiting on finalized details from the federal government,
Correct.
but currently they're not open for business.
Right.
How is this type of delay usual, even without the government being shut down? And how long does it typically take to be resolved? Is it unusual not to have these finalized statistics or details, instructions at this point?
Yeah,
Okay.
so Randy's referring to the compliance
Mhm.
supplement. It's generally issued in May. So we're very far beyond that due date. This has happened before a few years ago. I think it was in 2020. It didn't get released until December. So it happens, but it's not something that's frequent that happens. We received a draft compliance supplement in August. We've reviewed that against our testing. So like once it does get released, it would be pretty quick turnaround to issue that report. But a good timeline, I have no idea.
Okay, and then a follow-up to that, if that's okay, Chair Kirkland.
Sure.
So I know that, so it's usually available in May because books close at the end of the financial year, end of June, July is the new.
Yep.
What implications does that have for us? Our book closed, open, at where are we in this process?
Mhm.
We can't put a bow on everything until that final audit is
Yes.
completed, correct?
Correct. So what we'll look at the final draft is just to see if there was any changes between the draft that we've already reviewed, and it may require more testing. It may take away requirements for testing. So that's kind of where it's at. It's not going to affect, closing your books or anything like that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any other questions, trustees? All right. Thank you
All right.
very much.
Thank you.
Okay, next on the agenda is comments. So we'll start first with trustee comments or any updates from trustees. And we'll start down here at this end. Trustee Benz, no? Anything?
Oh,
Go
I
ahead.
have a reminder for everyone. Parent
Okay.
teacher conferences are end of this month, as in next week. Please, please, please go see your teachers. Thank you.
Okay,
It was exciting to see Endeavor here.
Yeah,
Yeah, that was
that's good
That
stuff.
was good stuff that they're doing there. So
trustee
Nice to
Jennings?
see.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's not my hand, that's wrong.
I didn't have any, but until the audit presentation. So I just want to, we have the levy information that's out there for the public. And Mr. Dewey had mentioned these 521 funds. I think it's important to reiterate the use of those funds because people are going to be looking at this levy and deciding whether or not to vote for another levy when they just heard in this audit presentation that we have all this money in an account earning interest. So, and Dr. Russell, you can follow me up here anytime, make sure that I'm saying the right thing here. But those 521 funds are dedicated funds. They can only be spent on certain things, capital improvements, if I'm not mistaken.
Correct.
The reason that this board voted to put that money or to have Mr. Dewey put that money into a better interest bearing account, so an investment account, is so that we can get more return on that money that we can't use. That makes perfect sense, doesn't it? So the interest from that money, we can use that. There's a little bit more discretion on the interest of that money, which I think Mr. Dewey said 40
45 million.
is what's in there right now. Whatever that interest might be, we can use discretionarily. I don't know if that's a word, but that money will be used for maintenance that we were going to use lottery money for, which has,
Gone away.
Gone away. So I want to make, I don't know if that was clear or not. It makes sense to me, but I just want people to know if they're listening that, we have this levy that we're asking our patrons to vote on. And if you hear about all this money that's sitting in an account, we can't touch that for reasons that we would like to use it for, because the legislature said you can only use it for these purposes. So I don't know if Dr. Russell, if this is a point in time you'd like to opine, or if you want to save it for later.
Yeah, no, Chair Kirkman, appreciate you bringing that up. That is accurate. So it does look like the district has finances, but because the way the law is written and where that money's earmarked for, that definitely impacts us. Another thing has to do with our House Bill $292 as well. I have talked with some parents about that and got some questions about that money that's coming to us. Would the district still get that if it wasn't applied to the supplemental levy? And the answer is yes. And I think the implication on those questions was, well, why wouldn't we use that for our curriculum and our books and to support some of our athletics and activities programs and our staffing? And the answer is because, again, the law isn't written so that we can do that. That money's to pay down bond debt, supplemental levy, and then it goes to our facilities. So we don't have the flexibility like we would like to be able to use some of that money that's coming to be able to use for some of those things. Because if that was the case, then we might not be we'd have at least a discussion about what our levy is and what levy amount is. But again, the way it's written, we're not able to have that flexibility. So like a lot of government money, it is earmarked for a specific purpose and we have to use it for that way.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people, and again, this is, we're still in the comment section, so I'm making a comment here, but I think a lot of people, and I was one of them till I started getting into this business and figuring out what this is that levies and bonds are completely different. And like Mr. Dewey was saying, we're debt free after that last payment, the Nampa School District. And that's kind of why I brought that question up. But we're in a really good financial spot in this district. And, we're going to be debt free after that last payment. The levy money is not debt. It's the district asking patrons to pay for these things that we can't get funded from the state. And that's just simply what it is. It's a horrible situation, but it is what it is. It's a reality thing. So anyways, I just wanted to make that comment since it was brought up by Mr. Dewey on those funds. Anything else? All right, we will move to public comment. Public comment is available for anyone who would like to, online or otherwise. We won't usually say that, do we?
Yeah.
But if you're here in person, we would love, if you have a comment, you would like talk about something, bring up something, you're more than welcome. This is your time. You can bring up anything you want to. It doesn't have to be anything on the agenda. It can be whatever else. And I know that it looks like we have some students right here that are like taking notes or something for a class. You're more than welcome to stand up here and make a comment if you want to about you can make a comment about Mr. Yarbrough, anybody. Well, not anybody, all right? However, you get 3 minutes, and if you do come up, state your name and your address, and if you don't want to say your address, you can say what zone you're in, but and then you got 3 minutes to say whatever you want to say. We would ask you not to mention anybody by name or any personal information or anything like that. Do we have anybody signed up for?
Currently, no.
All right. Anybody that, after all that, anybody want to stand up and make a comment about something? Okay.
Man, tough crowd.
A labor of love. All right. Okay, we will then go on to our next agenda item, which is the consent agenda. Is there anything in the consent agenda that a trustee would like to move? And all right, I'll entertain a motion.
I move that we accept the consent agenda.
I'll second.
Okay, it's been motioned and seconded. All in favor? Aye. All right. We will now move to our action items on the agenda, and we'll start first with the audit acceptance. I'm sorry.
Since we already heard the audit presentation, all we need to do is move to accept. We don't need to go through any of the, okay, perfect.
We have to go through it line by line, page by page. We'll be out of here by 1.
Well, then I move that we.
Well, I'm sorry, excuse me, Trustee Benz. Before that, are we just accepting the draft version of this, or is the draft being presented to be accepted as a final version?
Yeah, that's because if we don't have that other.
According to the recommended motion that was placed in there from Mr. Dewey, it was to approve the financial statement audit, which I think would be approving the audit in general. And then I think once the other compliance letter is issued, you would do that separately so that we can submit this to the state by the 31st. I'm assuming that's why we put the recommended motion.
Yeah, thank you, Clerk Lamont. Chair Kirkman, let's ask Mr. Dewey.
Okay.
Actually, I think that is accurate, but let's find out.
I'm here. Tell you, here with my Bucky's hat on and everything, guys. Yeah, so what I need you guys to do tonight is actually please go ahead and approve the audit tonight. The audit's not going to change. The financials aren't going to change from what you guys see right now. The single audit and all that kind of stuff, it really has no bearing on what the state's requiring. Really, the financial statement is what we need. And as soon as the other ones get done, whenever the federal government wants to finalize it, which I don't know if that's going to happen or not, that will come later. But it's really nothing that should stop us from any other thing we're doing right now.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Well, then I move to approve the financial statement audit.
A second.
It's been motioned and seconded. All in favor? Aye. Okay, that motion is passed. The next item is, it looks like we've got a few curriculum adoptions.
Yeah, just a few. Chair Kirkman, trustees, tonight I'm going to have Director Gomez come up and she's going to walk us through. There are quite a few curriculum decisions for the board to consider tonight, and we're going to try to take it step by step as we go through each of those. But they'll be happy to answer any questions, and our team is here, and I think we have some board members that participated, and some of that will be here as well.
All right.
And I think our first one up is math, so we'll start there.
Yeah, science curriculum, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, because I'm already on C. My apologies. We are starting with science, open side.
Tyler, do I need to do anything? Okay. All right, so we are going to go over our high school curriculum recommendations for math, science, and social studies. So this slide just has a breakdown of our committee members. Half of our committee was parent and community members, and the other half was administrators, teachers, and an instructional coach. The process that the committee engaged in was reviewing standards and readings to help build background knowledge to prepare them to look at the curriculums. They reviewed and finalized scoring rubrics. They became familiar with the curriculum by digging into it, and then they scored the curriculum using rubrics. And then the curriculums we reviewed were math, illustrative mathematics. We looked at open side biology for science, and for social studies, we looked at MRU economics and Constitution 101 by the National Constitution Center. So hopefully I can come back, Tyler, right? Okay. So I'm going to skip ahead to science and I'll come back to math. So for biology, the committee as a whole created criterion 1 altogether and looked at things like best practices in assessment, family and community, student engagement, technology, etc. And then they broke into small groups. This is part of our curriculum and instruction team. And so they took those small groups to look at the individual content areas because they're content area specialists. So for science, they looked at alignment to the Idaho content standards for science, and then alignment to 3D teaching and learning as part of the rubric. And please stop me if you have any questions. Like if you're not sure what 3D teaching and learning, you want to know about that, I can bring Bree up to talk about them. So we had our virtual open house where we send a link out for people to look at those individual curriculums. 10 people rated biology, 60% rated it adequate, 20% rated it outstanding, and 20% rated it unsatisfactory. And there's just a breakdown of who responded to that survey.
How many of these went out? How many went out?
How many went out?
I know.
We had 10 responses. How many?
Yeah, how many links were sent out to how many people? What was your sample size? That was a better question.
All the parents in the district.
And 10 responded?
Mhm.
Okay.
To this one. And then
Right.
some, like 7, I think, did social studies. I think biology was the highest response rate, yes.
Okay.
This is the committee's feedback. Biology rated 1.96 out of 2. We assigned each committee member a number, and then that's their individual score. So 100% of the biology committee recommends that the board adopt this. Yes. No.
I have a quick question about the previous
Yes.
breakdown. So the 2 parents and community members who rated it unsatisfactory, did they leave any comments as to explain?
They
Okay,
did.
Okay.
Mhm. I can't remember them off the top of my head, but
Okay.
I believe this is in your
It
in your
is.
board packet. Let's see. So this is the overall feedback from the committee. And so now questions and then possible action item, because we're going to take them individually.
This is gradient, right?
This is all through Gradient, yes. So it'll be accessed through the Gradient platform.
So just on the 2 unsatisfactory comments, it looks like one said, this seems like an adequate curriculum with the exception of actual labs. Is that, am I on the right one here? Okay. And then does it have labs?
It does have labs.
Hands-on and all that? Okay.
Yes.
So that comment. And then the other one was, seems to be mostly about climate change. Well, I looked through there and I didn't see mostly, I don't know what weight to give that mostly about climate change. There was a section in there. I don't think it was even that very long, but I don't know that it's mostly about climate change.
Yeah, there's one unit called Ecosystems, Matter, and Energy, and there's some climate change discussion within that unit.
And so that would be probably this much of the whole curriculum. But we also have controlling policies and things like that in place
We
too.
do, yes. And so just something to note that a lot of the curriculum, or most of the curriculum that we look at are aligned to national standards. And so, but Idaho also has some control over the standards that they have. And so there are some Idaho standards where they address this. And so our teaching that we would do would be aligned to our Idaho standards.
Okay. Thank you.
Is Columbia currently using this biology?
Yes.
Okay.
Great, thank you.
Okay. So would you like to take action to
Oh,
approve?
you know what? Maybe it would be better if we go one by one and then we're not.
Oh, like do the biology.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we have them separated.
Yeah.
on the
Yeah.
agenda.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, Trustee Kirkman, I think, Chair Kirkman and trustees, I think we did, because there were so many, thought they could get kind of confused. I think we did try to take them one at a time and hopefully take an action items for biology first. And so just focusing on biology, if there's any questions
Okay.
about the process or the curriculum, and to answer those now and then take an action item on it.
Okay, so that's all you have as far as
That's all I
this
have for
biology?
biology.
Okay. Any comments, any questions on that?
I move that we approve the Open Sci-Ed biology curriculum for applicable high school science courses for the Nampa School District.
I'll second.
Okay, this has been a motion and seconded. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Just in case. All right, that one passes.
Okay.
And Dr. Russell, if you're okay, I'll just have her run through the,
Chair Kirkman, that'd be great.
all right.
A lot of times when we adopt curriculum, we talk about implementing in the following year, but we do have some of our smaller programs that would like to access in this year. So I didn't tie a date to that. Is the board okay with, like, Nova would like to get into it because they have not as many students and they have the platform.
Well, I think we approved it. It's up to administration to put it into play whenever.
Okay.
So go forth and conquer.
Okay. All right. So for math, we have illustrative mathematics integrated 1, 2, and 3. And you'll note that we're going to be doing dual credit for our upper division math and coming soon. So for their rubric, again, criterion 1 was the same for the entire committee. Criteria 2, they were looking at this curriculum to see how it aligns to Idaho content standards and then standards for mathematical practices and conceptual categories for high school math. And then they also wanted to look at alignment to the research-based mathematics teaching practices, so the math teaching practices. This is our open house feedback. 9 respondents chose to respond to this one, and this is just a breakdown of how they responded. 78% rated it adequate, 11% rated it unsatisfactory, and 11% rated it outstanding. This is the committee's feedback. The overall score was 1.75 out of 2. Their scores are to the left. And then 86% do recommend that the board adopt illustrative mathematics. 14% said no, which is one person. But our committees are really pretty small. So are there any questions about illustrative
Yeah,
mathematics?
so
Yes.
I'm sure Trustee Benz has a question because this is her forte.
No, I just, I was looking at the open house feedback, but did the person who objected state why? Okay. Was it just the foundational? No. Okay.
Do you want
It was a
to?
tech person.
Yeah, because I saw the comment, it was in, there was one in the technology staff, the curriculum seems too high, like prior knowledge. Okay.
So I think what it is, oh, sorry, Trustee Kirkman, Trustee Benz. What it was is the new way with the Common Core standards, the teaching practices come in and they're what you call like low floor, high ceiling tasks.
Okay.
And so I don't know if that person has that background.
Okay.
And so when you look at these problems, it does look very interesting that you're going to start a math problem off that way. But when you have math problems, you really want to relate it to the student's life. And then teachers would have to do some stuff to help with that productive struggle. So the productive struggle is on the mathematics and not the context.
Yeah.
And so that will all come from training and PD.
Okay.
So,
Okay. Thank you.
Is that the one about I'm against a digital curriculum? Is that the comment that you were referring to?
No,
Or am I
I'm
looking at the
looking at
wrong
the feedback on the open house. It's the very last one.
page.
The very last page.
Actually, last
Oh, I see. The
paragraph.
unsatisfactory.
Okay, thank you. That satisfies.
Sorry, that's
My
Danielle.
curiosity.
She's our secondary math specialist. And then that was a concern from the committee member about the digital curriculum. And so we will be saving money not purchasing textbooks, but we will still set aside some funds to purchase so that we have a print budget for things that we do want to print or get. Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Any other? Trustee Jennings? Anything? All right.
And I move that we approve the illustrative mathematics curriculum for gradient learning for applicable high school math courses for the Nampa School District.
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
And that one you can start tomorrow too, I guess.
Okay. Okay, so our final content area is social studies, and there's 2 within them. There's MRU economics. So they again had the same criteria 1, and then they looked at alignment to Idaho state standards for social studies. This is the open house feedback here. There's 7 people that responded. 86% rated it adequate and 14% rated it unsatisfactory. I do remember this one, that the technology staff member was concerned because there's a textbook purchase, and that didn't seem economical, but there isn't a textbook purchase. It is all digital curriculum.
Oh, this is the open house feedback for econ, not government.
For
Sorry.
econ,
Okay.
yes. Okay.
Sorry, gotta find that.
This is the committee's feedback. They rated a 1.74 out of 2. And 100% of them do recommend that this one is adopted. And then for social studies, the Constitution 101, they did the same because it's the same group that looked at these, alignment to Idaho content standards. And this is the open house feedback here. 71% rated it adequate and 29% rated it unsatisfactory.
29% seems high, but then you look at the number of responses and
Yeah,
One, yeah.
yeah. And the feedback on this one, I think, I don't know, yeah.
the
This
superficial
was the-
understanding.
Yeah.
Yes, and so I will note here that what we are recommending is that this is a resource for government or for any course that wants to use it. They may use it in U.S.
Yeah.
history to utilize, but we're not recommending that it replace our current text, which is the Magruder's textbook. It'll just be an additional resource for them to utilize because the committee kind of felt like it was a little bit light. And it's designed to be a semester course versus a full year course. And so,
And this was put out by the Constitution Center.
yes. And so the committee rated this one 1.64 out of 2, and 100% of them recommended that it be adopted. So, are there any questions?
YouTube links would need to be whitelisted. Is that just because of some content of said YouTube links that might be used?
Drew, do you want to talk about that?
I think.
I think it's
that
just
would
putting it
be-
to an approved list.
Yeah.
I see.
and
Yeah.
approved.
Oh,
So the
okay.
web filter, they don't get hung up. on it.
Yeah, Chair Kirkman, I think that comment probably falls into a few because these are digital resources. They do
Mhm.
tend to have some video content that comes from YouTube, but is maybe embedded in the gradient system. So I think the note when we see that from a technology staff member is just ensuring those are all submitted so they can allow those
Oh,
through
I
the
see.
system.
Otherwise, they wouldn't be able to see them. That makes sense.
Yeah, and Chair Kirkman, I would also add that I think Columbia struggled a little bit with some of the tech stuff last year because it is a Google platform. There's a lot of Google, but Drew and our tech team really worked together to make sure all of the links were approved, so we didn't run into that. So they would do that same process again.
And if they come across one that's not whitelisted, that should be, there's probably a simple process for.
Yeah,
IT
there
to
is. They
take
just
care
do a
of
help
that.
desk ticket and they would get it approved. So,
Okay.
Any other questions?
All right, I'll entertain a motion for this one.
I move that we approve the MRU Economic Curriculum and National Constitution Center's Constitution 101 curriculum as approved curriculum resources for applicable social studies courses for the Nampa School District.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you. And then just thank you to our committee that came together and did this, and our curriculum instruction team. It's such an important role in our school because it's the crux of what we do. And so we just want to always thank them. And Tyler, I'm the one controlling this screen. A little different for me.
Yeah. Yeah, why don't we take would that be okay with you, Ms. Gomez? So why don't we take a 5-minute health break and then whatever. Okay, we'll be back at 7:03, if my math is correct.
Yeah.
Just one.
I know, which is hilarious because I was the only facial, but Miss Pena had left. So they couldn't BYU and BSU teacher in 8th grade, so they had to do my band. But it just popped up recently. And I was like, they're a cute group of kids. That's hilarious. We're all vandals in my house, but my son wanted to be a Boise State Bronco. Somebody encouraged it, and I've had to break him of that. But you're settled driver. Sorry, where's the shirt? I feel like FOMO back here. You're on camera. I'm like,
Yeah, thank you for recording. I forgot I meant to.
I didn't use this on that side.
reconvening. And
Yeah, it's gonna be cold.
we will, Ms. Gomez, you just want to take the next one? And so far, so good. You're batting 1,000, so you're doing great.
So we wrapped up one set, and now we're going to be looking at a couple of new ones over the next couple of months. We are looking at adopting high school math, our upper division math courses, dual credit AP, and also financial algebra. When I created this slideshow, I wasn't sure if we were going to have 8 or 10 because we were short, and we filled it like at 4:30 the same day. So we are looking at 10. So it would be 5 from our parent community half, and then 5 from our NSD representatives. So this is the math committee. We're very fortunate to have one per zone. I think looking at calculus and pre-calculus and statistics, it wasn't everybody's cup of tea, but we reached out to people. And 3 of these served on a previous committee. I emailed them to see if they would come back and serve. One applied previously and wasn't selected, but he agreed also. So we were able to fill it.
Very cool.
So to the left is our NSD representatives. If a board member would like to serve, they would round out that 5. If not, then we have a district representative.
Trustee Benz? This is for math.
Yeah, I teach English. It's a little different.
So the action item we're looking at is to approve the high school math committee.
Okay.
I move that the Board of Trustees approve the formation of the Curriculum Adoption Committee as proposed in accordance with Policy 2520.
Do we need to be specific on what adoption committee?
Okay, so it doesn't say it in here, but I will add it for the math, high school math Curriculum
sorry.
Adoption Committee.
Second.
Okay, been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. So
Right, and our second committee is for our elementary science resource. This committee will be 10 with half and half, 5 from the parent community side and half from the district side. This is that committee, and Zone 3 did not have an applicant, and so we have 2 additional applicants that we can select from to have an extra one at large.
So Sarah and Colleen are both from Zone 1, and they both had very good, for lack of a better term, knowledge resumes that seemed, so how would you like us to recommend the at large, since they're 2, how do we do that?
I can't remember how we did it last time.
Chrissy, do you know how that would work?
Okay, so did you guys do an at large last time?
We did.
I believe you were very specific because if you were alternating, they weren't getting all the consistent information.
Mhm. Right, but I think we only had 1 extra person.
Multiple people, you guys
Just chose their name. Okay.
I can look back at the minutes. I know that probably makes it harder. But I think you'll just have to pick one, and then if you say, oh, they can alternate, then that means like they're not getting the same information
Correct.
and they're basing their opinion on.
Yep. Can you put the names back up? I'm sorry.
So we have 2 here that could potentially be
Yeah,
at
so
large.
there was an extra person
Yeah.
for Zone 4 and an extra person for Zone
Oh.
1.
And I think that's what I was misunderstanding. I'm so sorry. So it's not, so it's a candidate for Zone 3 to be at large. Okay,
Yes.
because I was like, I don't think we did it.
But it would have to be just one of those. right?
Yes.
Because
It would
it
be
would,
one.
it would skew the balance. I don't know.
And Brooke is Zone 4, so, and she's not here, right? Brooke's Zone 4?
Correct.
Okay, so I say that we just let Sarah.
Okay.
Well, and Sarah can attend all the meetings
Yeah.
where
Mhm.
Jennifer cannot. So
So then
I
that's,
would
yeah.
confirm, I would agree with you.
Sounds like you got a motion ready to go.
Okay, so I move that Sarah Davis be recommended as an at-large committee member since we are lacking representation from Zone 3 on this parent committee.
But we also need to adopt the whole.
Well,
Well, we just got to get her in place and then we'll do that.
Oh.
I
okay.
second that.
All right, so the motion is to approve Sarah as an at-large for Zone 3. Okay, and it's been seconded. All in favor? Aye.
And then I move that we accept this elementary science curriculum adoption committee as proposed in accordance with policy 2520.
I'll second that.
Okay.
Chair
then-
Kirkman, can I
Oh,
just
sorry.
clarify that somebody
Please.
doesn't want to serve and that you want the district representative to be the one that we? Okay, that's anybody. Okay, I just wanted to clarify that nobody really wanted to be on sites. Okay, sorry.
Okay, motion and seconded, all in favor? Aye.
Okay.
All right.
And then this is just an overview of our timeline. We will notify them tomorrow that they were selected. The committee will meet in November and December. We may have a meeting in January if we're not done, and then we will make the recommendation to the board in January for
Okay.
both of these. Okay, any questions?
Nope, I think we're good. Any questions? All right.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for your time
Thanks, Araceli.
and work from all of you
Mhm.
on this, everyone who has participated.
Thank you.
We'll just give a couple of seconds.
It's a lot of curriculum.
Yeah.
Everything's changing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Dr. Russell, we have the next item on the agenda is second reading.
Yep. Chair Kirkman, trustees, before you tonight, we have a second reading of policy 3010, the open enrollment policy. You may recall there's a couple of changes to this policy that came from ISBA. The first one had to do with being more specific about students who are trying to circumvent discipline in one district and enrolling in another. So if they were up for an expulsion in District A, they would try to go unenroll and try to go District B. The state calls it out and allows school boards to be able to go ahead and use that evidence as justification to uphold an expulsion, particularly if a student or a parent does not disclose that information. And then the second part has to do around open enrollment transportation, that if a parent or guardian of a student under this policy is open enrolled, if bus space is available, then they may get them to the nearest bus stop. If it's not, then it may be up to the parents to be able to transport. So those were some of the recommendations from ISBA on this updated policy. And so this is a second read, and administration is recommending a second and final read.
Okay, any questions, trustees? Seems pretty cut and dry.
I move the board approve a second and final read of the revised policy 3010 open enrollment.
Second.
Okay, it's been motioned and seconded. All in favor? Aye. All right.
Chair Cookman, trustees, the next item, again, is the second read of a policy brought up a little earlier. This has to do with policy 3525, our immunizations. Again, a recommendation from ISBA that just some small verbiage change that primarily talks around Idaho code defining the immunization policies and exemptions rather than Department of Health and Welfare. So there was some line changes there. I think that's the majority of what some of those small changes were in that policy. But again, the administration is recommending a second and final read on that.
And this just mirrors what Idaho code is.
It is just mirroring what Idaho code is defining rather than it was previously through Idaho Department of Health and Welfare, but there was a change in the state legislature that Idaho code now defines those.
You know, if the district does not approve this particular policy, we still got to do what the state requires us to do.
Mr. Cookman, that'd be accurate. District would need to follow state law. Its policies must adhere to state law.
All right.
I move the board approve a second and final read of the revised policy 3525 immunization requirements.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor? Aye. All right. That concludes our action items.
Yeah, Chair Trustee Kirkman and Trustees, we're moving on to our information items. We have an update from Mr. Yarbrough, who's going to share some information around the graduation committee that he's been working with, and give you some updates and answer any questions you may have about how that process is going.
Chair Kirkman, trustees, thank you for the opportunity tonight. I have to say I was really proud that there were 2 other Yarbroughs in the room tonight, and both of them are better than myself. So particularly my wife and daughter, I'm really proud of them.
Do we need to vote on that?
We did put that on the record on purpose. So last spring, we came to the board to ask for an administrative committee to work on the graduation requirements within the Nampa School District. We were waiting last year because the state was making some changes at the state level of what would be required. They did finalize those in, I believe it was January of last year, or maybe December of last year, got those to us. We've started meeting, and our plan is to give you an informational update this month, an informational update next month, and bring a recommendation to you in the December board meeting of where we're at with changing the graduation requirements for the Nampa School District. Particularly of note, the state added a new course that is required, which is a digital literacy course. Within our the requirements for the Nampa School District we have 3 tech credits, which include 2 BCA credits and the 3rd tech credit. The committee is going to bring to you a recommendation, but that recommendation will be to adapt one of those credits we already have, which are above the state minimum, to include the digital literacy course, and we've already made that decision for the recommendation we'll bring to you. A couple other pieces we've already talked about as a group and have finalized for the recommendation. There is going to be a new civics test that's coming from the State Department. We already have a civics test in place for our senior graduation requirement and have done that for years. We anticipate very easily being able to adapt just the new testing instrument into the protocol that we already use within our district, which is we do that within the senior government course. But we have to wait for the state to actually write and finalize that test. So again, that will be coming in the recommendation. Not a lot for the board to necessarily consider as a state requirement, but just want to make sure the board's clear on how we're implementing that within our schools. And then the other piece, which was a graduation requirement from the state, was that we have to publicize or publish 2 localized pathways that are options for students post high school of what their opportunities are. We're way down the road on that. Our robust CTE program, we're way ahead of the game. All we will do is make sure we meet the legal requirement of posting those by June 30th of 2026. Again, in the recommendation that's coming to you, you'll see in how we navigate that. Those decisions have already, again, been made in the committee work that we have. We'll bring those to you in recommendation. The other 2 pieces that we're still working on are one is state-driven and one is Nampa School District-driven. The state requirement also has changed the existing senior project requirement to a new future readiness project. And what we're doing right now as a committee is going through all the options that we may have in front of us of how to navigate that. The senior project has been for a long time a part of the Nampa School District, and what we've done partly because of state implementation and partly because of just how we've done things within the Nampa School District at various high schools for a number of years. We do see value in a culminating project for high school for students. But we also want, and we'll bring in the recommendation to the board, is to understand that it is a bit of an unfunded mandate from the state to jump through another hoop that's not a course, and how we navigate that. So we want to make sure that we don't make it a bar to increasing our graduation rate by jumping through things that are imposed that shouldn't be imposed, at the same time making it a quality experience for our kids and what they do. And again, we feel like we have a ton of options and a ton of capacity to do that. We're working out the details, and we'll bring that within the recommendation again in December. The last part that the graduation requirement review committee is really looking at is due to our semesters changing to trimester and the shift of our schedule. We will be considering bringing a new number of minimum credits for graduation within our district and how to align that based off of the elective numbers the number of elective courses we have and how that would work within a kid's high school career and progression through different programs of study. Also, those localized pathways might help open up other pathways. We really want to target all types of kids for, hey, I want to go into music. I want to go into the university. I want to go into the military. I want to go on a mission. I want to go to the workforce. I want to do VOTEC. So we're going to find some ways to navigate that within the credit requirement and find what we believe will be a sweet spot to navigate that. We do have a number of students that over the next 2 years may actually graduate early because we have not adopted those changes. Again, when we changed the semester from semesters to trimesters, we didn't change that number. And we anticipate that it will be likely the class of at earliest 27, very likely 28, before we would recommend putting on those new requirements to help students navigate where they're at within their plan. And that actually mirrors what the state has given for our timeline to do these things. Most of the requirements I talked with you about are for the graduating class of 2028. So we've got some time to put those things in. And until we get to that graduating class, the old state requirements are what holds and what we have to meet, and our already adopted Nampa School District requirements meet those and exceed those in most cases. So I would stand for any questions you have, but again, we're just giving you an informational update tonight.
Any questions, trustees? Very good. Thank you, Mr. Yarborough.
Want to give a quick shout out to the folks who are working on the group. We've got a number of teachers and folks, and really pleased by the depth and breadth of the conversation they're having, and really thoughtful of understanding how to navigate adding on requirements, but making them useful and then being able to adapt and be flexible. So super impressed. We even had a student who wanted to show up and see how quote unquote government works. And so it was interesting to see a student step into the committee and look at it. So
That's awesome.
yep.
Very cool.
Thank you.
Hope he doesn't get jaded.
She won't.
Oh, she. I hope she doesn't get jaded. Okay.
All right. Chair Kirkman, trustees, next on the agenda item has to do with the transportation update. Going to have Mr. Stauffer come share some information around transportation.
Chair Kirkman, Board of Trustees, I just want to give you a quick update. Last time we were here, we let you know that we had a vacancy in our transition department, our transportation department. Yeah, that's coming later. But we were able to fill that position. Our new employee has been now with us for a week and a half, and we have filled that department. And so that need has been taken care of. We did have quite a few applicants in the pool. We were able to do quite a few interviews, and we are really happy with whom we have picked. So just wanted to give you an update on that piece. We're at full staff now.
Can you share his name? Her name?
Yeah, her name is Heidi Shoemate,
Okay.
and she is has students in our district as well. She came to us from West Ada and had some experience in there as well. So a really good opportunity for us. It was a good win for the Nampa School District.
All right. Welcome, Heidi. Any other questions? Don't go too far.
I'm not going to.
Yeah, Chair Kirkman, trustees. Next, we'll have Mr. Stauffer share some information about our facilities update and where we are with some of those items.
Chair Kirkman and Board of Trustees, again, in your packet, I put some information that we're seeking a little bit of guidance on from the board. We currently own, and this is where that transition word comes in, we own a house that we have called the transition house for many years, and it's here located on Lake Lowell. It's actually kind of kitty corner here out from us currently. And we used to house a lot of some of our federal programs, in particular our McKinney-Vento programs, out of that house. Ever since we have gone through the restructuring and renovated Snake River, our federal programs has been able to be consolidated and brought to a one location, where before they were in several different locations. And so they have a much better setting now in part of the Snake River. They have one wing of the Snake River Elementary School, which is now the Snake River Learning Center. So the house is vacant. We've looked for different ways that we could potentially utilize it, but we haven't found anything that it would do for us as far as a school setting. It is a house. It's been a house prior. We kind of modified it a little bit and tried to make offices fit into it. But currently, we would like to gauge the interest of the board for us to solicit blind bids for it. We've done this process before for 2 properties that we have had. We've done blind bids for them, and we'd follow that same process per Idaho code. Some of the information just for your that is included in the presentation is, one, we would need to go out and get another formal appraisal if the board is interested in it. It did appraise over a year ago at $368,000. So that, again, when we go to the blind bid, that's the minimum price that we could accept in a blind bid. If we don't get that price, then it would be open for the board to reject all offers, solicit the district administration to find the best bid available out there, or do nothing with it and keep the property. So there's a lot of options still available to the board if you do have an interest in for us putting this up for bid. It is our recommendation that we would do so because it is sitting vacant. It has been sitting vacant for a considerable amount of time. We do think it could be a good property for some Nampa School District children.
What do you mean by that?
A family purchased it, and we have some people that come.
Because I had some thoughts that you almost pinged on, so I'll hold those for a minute.
Yeah, and we've included some pictures. Just again, this is the picture of the house as it currently is. We have done a few things. It was fairly utilized, so we had to update a few things. We did some painting in it, and we had to remove some of the surfaces in it. So this is what it currently looks like at this point in time.
All right, I'm gonna ask a question here. I'm probably gonna get in trouble for it. Dr. Russell and Mr. Stauffer, Mr. Yarborough, what would be the possibility of using this particular home to rent out to a family in need that might be otherwise homeless in the community? I mean, we've got a lot of kids that don't have a stable home, and for whatever reason, I mean, the district owns this property. So, and I'm just throwing stuff out here, all right? I don't even know if
Yeah.
it's legal, okay?
Yeah.
So,
Chair
but I
Chair
mean,
Kerman, I
just
think
the
that's a good
possibility
question.
of opening it up to applications and
Yeah.
maybe offering that to a family who has 3 or 4 kids that currently doesn't have a home.
Chair Kirkman, I did ask this question about a year ago, so I'll probably need to go back and talk to our legal a little bit more, but we did speak to legal about this about a year ago. And there is some things that we would have to put in, again, as a year ago, and we can bring back some more information, but there was some strings attached to being able to do that. The district is technically not wanting to be in a place by law in a landlord of properties. But there's some technicalities that we can do that as part of the research. And again, I want to reemphasize, even if we do put this out for a bid, the board has the authority to reject all offers upon receipt. It's not a guaranteed bidding process, if that makes sense. So there's rights that the board retains in that. But it is something that we're more than happy to provide you some information on and see if that is. One of my hesitations is becoming a landlord. We'd have to watch that. We'd have to make sure that we have an application process and all those things that come with it. I do think that sometimes you have great tenants when you're a landlord, and sometimes you don't have great tenants when you're a landlord. And so there could be some encumbered costs that we would have to take upon the district if we become landlords.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that was that's why I hesitated about saying anything. But let me take it a step further. And kind of looking at the whole Idaho Center thing going on, and CWI using that Idaho Center for curriculum, classes, whatnot. Could this possibly, a situation like this, be set up to where maybe the financial, the math part of it, and have kids interact? This is way off thinking here, but have kids actually be a part of managing from a landlord perspective and learning those skills and learning, the deposits and all that. I don't know how it would look. I'm just kind of thinking out loud here.
I think that there's always room for interesting ideas. One of the things that we would have to look at is where would this fit in the curriculum, and in what class would this fit underneath? Originally, I would like to say CT, but I can't think of a CT program that this would fit underneath. We don't have an event management type of program that the CWI is trying to utilize in that methodology. Now, I do want to be clear. We're not trying to convey any property at this point.
No.
We're talking about potential sell the property.
I wasn't even in my thought.
Just want to make sure that's clear because I don't want to be confused. Sometimes we get confused with the city of Nampa. We're two different entities in that sense. So there's a possibility. If that is the desire of the board, we're happy to do some more research on it. But again, this is what we wanted to bring to the table because it is not being utilized at this point in time. And it is an asset for the district.
Yeah, Chair Kirkman, trustees, I think what we'll need to do is probably take some of these thoughts and ideas, bring them back to legal, maybe talk to our McKinney-Bento team as well, because I think they'd be highly involved in something along what the board's discussed, and maybe come back with some other options, ideas of this is a yay, this is a nay, and kind of see where we are from there.
Trustee Benz?
And then just to pull on this thread a little bit more, since we're going to ask questions of legal, would we run into any kind of equitable opportunity issues since there's only one house and I'm imagining there's more than one family who might want to utilize that type of a service?
Chair Kirkman and Trustee Benz, again, we can vet that out legal, but because we only have one, it would be the application process that would have to follow that component. We don't have to create new or more housing opportunities. If we only have one property, it would be in the application process that we would make sure that that was followed.
Yeah, I would just, yeah, I get it. I get what you're saying, and I totally understand all those. And I'm not going to apologize for bringing it up, but I
No.
would just love to see, kids.
That is your
who-
timer, though.
I would just love to see kids who currently don't have a home, Anyways, we'll let you guys say, but what you need specifically from us, if that's,
We don't need an action item. It was just
Right,
more
but
or
some
less
direction.
direction on which way you would like to go with it. So this is what we were asking for. We did have, again, the idea that we had was presented to you, and we're more than happy to go back and research those other ideas and present it to you again.
yeah, and I think, and trustees are more welcome to chime in here, but for Dr. Russell and his staff, maybe ask those questions of legal. But if it seems so far, like, we just can't do it, we're not in the business of being a landlord, but then that is what it is.
Yeah, I think Chair Kirkman trustees, tonight was just to get general information out and to receive some feedback from the board. And we'll take some steps and we'll come back with more information and then kind of see where the board is at that point. And at some point we might lead to an action item, but at this point, I think it's just, there's no hurry on it.
Nope.
It's just we're there and we think it's time now to get some direction where we need to go with that.
And it's too small for a district office.
Yes.
What about an annex? You could put Mr. Yarborough out there in the annex.
Chair Kirkman, I even deliberated getting out there, but no. The setup is just one that it is a residential location.
And you'd have to, there'd be a lot more work.
It'd be a lot more work.
Remodeling it is. Okay. All right. Well, thank you.
You're
Appreciate
welcome.
it.
And
Any
that
other
was just one
questions with that?
phase for that. Any questions on that? I do have a second, more information, some secondary information for you as well. But the other item I wanted to bring up is just more information. We've had since we've had the relineation of our boundaries and reorganization of our schools, one of the unique things that has come up is that we have many of our neighbors that think that our West Learning Campus is not being utilized. And so there's a lot of groups and organizations that have been out on the football field and track, and we've actually started to have some damage. We're also have had people there during school having organized events, and we still utilize those, particularly the track, for our kids that are currently at the West Learning Campus. And so we just wanted to let you know that there's some things that are going on there. And in order to make that a little bit more safe for the school, we are going to put up some fencing around the football field. We have been in contact, and I've passed this through the director of Parks and Recs with the city, because we do have adjoining property. They were also fine with the proposal that we had put together. So this is just more informational. In the graphic, that I know it's not it's a little small, but you can blow it up. But there are several different gates, so there's a lot of accessibility that are still there. We also do have our Facilitron program that will allow people to rent and utilize it and still have access to the facility, but we needed to do a little bit more to make sure that that part of the campus was protected a little bit more, and that the damage that was occurring can be minimized to some extent. Now, with this, it does not intercede anywhere on the park side. So on the opposite side, where Blaine runs, there's a lot of open fields, and that connects to the park, and that is not where we're at. It's just exclusively around the track in the football area.
Would that still allow access to it though?
You would have to go through our Facilitron portfolio, or our program, excuse me, and you would be able to get access, and there's rental and components that would go through that. Our biggest concern is really throughout the day, we're having a lot of people that are coming on, and it has been some safety concerns for the schools.
There are signs around that, though.
And there are
posted.
signs everywhere.
Yeah.
We tried the signs first.
That didn't
We did
work.
try that. It did not work.
The least restrictive.
Yeah, we started there first. There are signs all over the parking lot. There's signs down the street. There are signs on the opposite side where the park is. So we tried that for a year, and it's actually gotten worse this year. And
Are there
so
lights on during the night, like even
No.
from the park?
there's no lights in that area either.
Okay.
So just informational, we want to make you aware of it, and the rationale why. It's something we've been watching for a while, and we tried to do a lot of other preventative things before we had to go to these measures.
No, I agree. Okay.
And that is it for facilities. Thank you.
All right, questions before he sits down? Before he thinks he's done? All right, thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Stalker.
Chair Kirkman, trustees, next item has to do with our monthly enrollment report. Just happy to answer any questions if you have anything on that.
No, pretty straightforward. Any questions?
Mm-mm.
Snake River, I just wanted to quickly look at Snake River. All right, I'm good. Okay.
If you found Snake River, you're the only guy.
No, I was looking at other ones that were at Snake River. I just want to make sure it wasn't on the list. Okay, no
All right,
questions,
yep,
Dr. Russell.
Chair Kirkman, trustees, next on our agenda item has to do our financial and treasury report. As you know, Mr. Dewey's not here, but he did record a video to kind of review our current monthly expenses and where the district is finance-wise. So I'm going to have Mr. Tyler kind of head and cue that up for us. I don't know if Mr. Dewey will be on for after questions, but
Hello
happy
again,
to
everybody.
take any questions after.
Again, sorry I can't be there today, but I'm thinking that Greg actually likes me to do it this way from now on, because that way I don't say anything that shouldn't be said in front of a lot of different people. So here we go. Let's go ahead and go with today's financial report. All right, so right now we're actually looking pretty good, but our unit calculations, we're actually not going to know anything. And I know I've said this the last couple months, but it's really the way that Idaho does their funding, that we don't know anything until really the first part of December, whether or not we're on or not. We kind of got a good idea whether we're at, where we're at, but until the actual reports come out from the state, I can't tell you whether or not for sure we're ahead or below in our revenue forecast. Right now, our main allocations for FTE are based on the ADA, and then they're from the first day of school until the first Friday in November. So those reports actually aren't even due until the 21st of November. So we've got a little bit of time before our ADA reports are even in and finalized for this first midterm, which is the one that pays the majority of our salaries in that. So it's a big one, and that's the one we're actually waiting for to see. Our certified state submission was done before the October 15th deadline, and those reports should be out and ready for me to generate by about November 1st. And then at that point in time, once we get those, I work with HR and Gwen's team to make sure that we're looking at all those numbers, that everybody's in the right spots in the career ladder, we're getting paid the right amounts, that everything's sitting normal, and we don't have anything out there that's missing from the state. Currently, our enrollment is still staying steady around like 12.3. That's about what it was for the last little bit, which is really good. That means that for this first, really the big period that we need this to be, we're actually still above projections of where we are. Unfortunately, what we're not seeing is an increase or that's, a steady increase in any kind of percentage of ADA. So I'm not sure if this is going to bring us any additional money yet. Until we, again, I can see the reports from the state. I don't really want to say we have a lot of money sitting out there for different things. And even if we do have additional money, my concern is, remember, we had to go into fund balance to make this work this year go. Therefore, I want to make sure that whatever money we have, we can put back towards the fund balance and kind of make make things right for the year, so we're not going into future years with any issues. Our expenses right now are within budgets, but we're still, you never know on some of these things until the second half. Our payroll, we do know, because that one's easy because it does our encumbrances throughout the year. But some things you just never know what's going to hit, and so we're still looking at that to make sure we're keeping track of what we need to do. The next steps for budget review. So the first part of November, we're going to get the salary schedules. Like I said, we're looking through. We're going to work with HR on those type things to make sure we're getting those right. Mid-November, we'll receive our first 88 counts, and so we'll be able to look through that. December, we have to make sure we have all of our corrections in for all of our payroll, our certified payroll, to make sure we get our average pay right for our teachers and our pupil services staff. January is when we get our official reports that are kind of like, quote, the final reports that the state gives us to be able to do everything else. Those reports and those numbers are what really guide majority of our funding, and then they also are used for a majority of our other special programs that we have for some additional pay and that kind of thing. So it's really important that those ones are right in that January filing. And in July, remember, we get our best 28 weeks calculation, and that's for our operations and our health insurance money. All right, and then I bet a bunch of you are wondering what's going on with our government shutdown and how it's going to affect us. At first, I have on my slide here, we're not expecting any delay in our payments. And for our regular payments and our federal grants, we're not really expecting any delays or anything because the state already has access to those. It's not a big deal. I did talk to Michelle Eggers yesterday in Nutrition Services, and the risk we have is if this goes much further into and maybe into November, because our payments come directly from the nation for our USDA money, there could be some time that we will be delayed in payment for our free and reduced lunch reimbursements. Now, for us, it's not a big deal because we do have a pretty healthy fund balance in our nutrition services, so we are not at risk of not being able to buy food or any of that kind of stuff. It just means our revenue from the nation will maybe be delayed a little bit, similar to some of the other state stuff that could be happening with the nation. But I think in the end, we should be fine. It shouldn't affect us too much. The biggest part that I don't know right now is the politics that are happening within, and I'm trying not to be political here, but what's happening is President Trump has taken this opportunity to also do some additional RIFs in the education department that were asked for before and they were kind of blocked by the judge. These RIFs, they tried to drop another 2,000 employees, mostly in the special ed departments in the federal Department of Education there. Now a judge has put those on hold. I'm not sure exactly how long that'll last, but it is going to be a big deal, and we don't know how that's going to affect us. I mean, obviously, we don't like to have a lot of oversight if we don't have to, but the reality is there are things that we actually need directly from them that we could have a problem if there's nobody to help us through some of these. And I'm really worried about future how we're going to get allocations, how that's going to look, and how any kind of new money's coming into this into our state and how it's going to be allocated accordingly. State funding concerns. You guys still hear, and it's been on the news a lot, that they're still showing a $56 million deficit, even with the cuts that the governor made with the other departments. He has potentially said he's going to have some additional holdbacks. They're not sure. The state constitution actually mandates that we have a balanced budget, so we have to, across the board, do some cuts. What we're not sure of, because these first set of cuts that happened aren't affecting our schools just yet. If there are some additional cuts, what I've been hearing is that it'll come from the Education Stabilization Fund instead of coming from our actual monies that we get out of our discretionary funds. Because if we hit our discretionary funds, that'll actually hit us hard because we won't even know that number until July, and the year will be over. We'll be not able to actually make any adjustments, whatever. It'll just hit totally into our fund balance, which this year, as I said earlier, we're already dipping into fund balance a little bit to make this year work. So, I mean, it really could hurt us quite a bit if that was the case. And the other side of it, what they've also talked about doing is doing an additional Medicaid cut. I'm not exactly sure yet. We're still looking into that, what that means on our side, because Medicaid in the regular private sector is a little different than ours. But the way that works here in Idaho for our Medicaid is, let's say we actually bill $100 worth of service. Right now, the state takes $35 of that and keeps that as our match, and we get $65 of that. So the risk is, and what they've said is to add another 4 or 5% on top of that. And so instead of getting that $65, now we're looking at getting a $60 in my example, which in our case, when we have millions of dollars in Medicaid money that we're getting, it can be hundreds of thousands of dollars with that additional cut. And that does hit us because that's 100% of our special ed workforce that we're actually getting right now. The other side that I'm really worried about as well is we've already been talking about next year's budget, and legislators are already talking about doing additional cuts and doing additional revenue tax breaks and all that. This year, as you guys remember, they did not give us any additional operational funding other than health insurance increases, which are mandated by the state and statutory rules. Our state Department of Education has given their budget request to the governor already, and the only thing they've asked for new isn't, again, no additional operational increases, but they've asked for $50 million in special education increases, which the reality is I don't think any of us believe any of that's going to go through this year again. So reality is we could be flat again. We might be able to get the statutory increases that are required by the career ladder and that type of stuff. But if that were to happen, we do have some potential operational things that we're going to have to look at as a structure within our district to make sure that we're going to be able to make budget again next year and work it through. We don't know yet. Obviously, we won't know until probably February or March. But those are the things we're looking at, and we're trying to keep our nose out to make sure we know what's going on. Thanks everybody again. Again, sorry I can't be out there. Hope you liked this presentation. And if you have any additional questions, please feel free to reach out to me. I'm definitely available at any time, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Thanks.
Well, that should just brighten everybody's spirits, huh?
We end on a high note here.
Let me add an addendum to the comment I made about fiscal. We are financially stable. I mean, the district's in a good spot. And I think that Greg and his staff, Dr. Russell and his staff has positioned the district to weather some of these things that are coming down the road. It's just, look how much you're learning here with all this financial stuff and fiscal stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, Chair Kirkman, trustees, we'll know a little bit more. I think November 1 count's going to be really important for us. As Mr. Dewey mentioned, we're up in enrollment, slightly down in average daily attendance. It's not a lot. It's like less than a percentage, but I don't know if that's going to make itself out in the wash and kind of come out even. But we should know more about that hopefully here in later November, early December, when that kind of comes out. And then hopefully we'll know where our government is, whether it's open or not by that point. Will that impact us? But if you do have further questions, please feel free to let me know or ask Mr. Dewey, and we'll get those answers out to you.
We do that in a video. We just record a video and send it to Mr. Dewey.
Great.
All right, last item.
Next item on the agenda has to do with superintendent's report, and so want to talk with you on a couple of things. One has to do with our communication to our community around upcoming levy. I'm going to have Mr. Stauffer come and share some information about what we've done and how much information we've got out as we enter the last couple of weeks of our information campaign to get that out to our folks.
Mr. Stauffer, I'm sorry, before you start on this, can I ask a question on the facility update thing? I was hoping you'd come back up. Where are we at? I mean, how do the schools look as far as we're coming into the winter season and rain and snow and ice and all that? How are we looking as far as roofs and heating and all that kind of stuff right now?
Thank you for the question, Chair Kirkman. So currently right now, we are in a pretty good position. We have one HVAC heating project that we're working on at Columbia at one of the aux gyms, and that's on good. That's started. We should have that done before the major cool comes. You probably remember about 3 years ago, we had a lot of infrastructure issues with our HVAC, and we have spent a lot of time revitalizing those and working on them. We still are an aging infrastructure. If we go back to our facility report, our HVAC systems are our most expensive commodity, and it's our most expensive upkeep every year. But we have been working on that consistently. I think we're in a really good position for this coming year. Last year, we had a really good year as well. We were able to identify some of those weaknesses as far as the units, and we have been able to shore those up. As far as roofs, we're going to be bringing some of those to you in January. We do have a couple roofs that we do need to have some major repairs done. We do have a team that is what they do, is they repair roofs. We've been really preventative in those areas that we know. We've actually been up on roofs now and looking and seeking for opportunities to shore up some of those areas. But you will be hearing, and the reason for that time frame is, when you're redoing a whole roof, we have to do it during the summer break. And so that's the natural time for us to bring some opportunities for bid packages to you and present those to you. So that is coming. We do have some that will be up and coming.
So right now we don't have any buckets on the floor catching rainwater and.
No, I mean, there's always an occasional one before we repair it. There's some occasional ones, but not mass.
Not massive.
You know, I think, again, that idea comes from many years ago. And being a Nampa High administrator, I used to have a responsibility going around and changing buckets out in the 100 and 200 building. Those have all been shored up.
Okay.
We do have some, though, that it is time and they're in need. And we would be bringing these to you regardless of whatever state we might be in. There are two that we need to pay attention to that are coming.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome. Now onto some other fun components, which we want to talk a little bit about what we have done to get out information to our community about the upcoming replacement supplemental levy. So our next slide kind of gives you some of the two venues, the major venues which we've been using. There's one that is the side that we have control of and that we have been working on. That's our social media, our three platforms that we use, our Parent Square, YouTube. We have some community Q&As that are coming up that we have invited the public to, that we're pushing out, that we basically are opening up our doors and saying, hey, come and ask us questions. We have done that also with the media here recently. We had the media come in and we did a Q&A with, invited all the local media outlets to come in. We only had 3 that came in, but we did have 3, and there's some good output from the 3 that did come out. All 3 are publishing or have published information on the levy as well. And they've done a really good job of being objective and articulate in those as well. We are also have posters in all of our buildings. We have postcards that we have been handing out, or informational cards. We do have our yard signs up with QR codes that take us to the website. We have also developed the website as we showed that to you as well. We continue to update it with questions that come from our public that are not answered in there. And so we are constantly working on that. We've also invested this time around in a company called Target River, which specializes in working with schools and helping get out information for bonds and levies. They're fairly, they're not a new, I want to say they're a fairly well-known company around with school districts around the area in many states. One of the things that they are able to do that we're not able to do is that they have the ability to have connections to the paid advertisements. They have slots that they have, and they can move in our information through those paid slots that they currently own. This also is part of Facebook. It's part of Instagram, Google, YouTube are some of the streaming ones. We also have SiriusXM, iHeartRadio, Pandora, Spotify, and then also those streaming video services that people don't pay for the upgraded version that gets rid of all the commercials. So if you pay for the lower one, then we're able to target by our GIS codes, which is our boundary codes. We can target and send out commercials via those venues. And that's been going on with it, that we can't do that independently. You have to contract with somebody to get those. And so we wanted to increase our footprint in getting out information. And so we have been utilizing these resources, also some targeted email distributions. And I have some data on each one of these for you on our following slides. But we want to just talk about what we've done, and now here's some of the data that we've been able to collect. Digging in a little bit more, this is what I talked about. There's just some signs there on the right of what we have done. Just giving you some examples of those. We did have, and I want to point out the media Q&A. So Idaho Channel 2 News did do a blurb on us after our media Q&A. Idaho Head News actually today released their article from that Q&A. And we know on Thursday, Channel 6 is going to be releasing one as well. So we've had multiple news outlets that are reporting and helping us and providing that information. And again, it's been really good to get correct information out. And they've been doing a good job of researching it as well. And so we felt very comfortable with those. The Parent Square, we have sent out 14,453 personalized Parent Square messages to our families. 11,188 of those have actually opened it and reviewed it. Also on our website, you can look at, we've had that 7,832 visits just to the levy site itself. So we've actually seen that increase in the last couple of weeks as we have been pushing out more additional information. We've seen some weeks up over 1,000. Here recently, we've seen over 1,000 visits to our site. So with that, with our controlled and what we can see, we know that we've hit about 18,000, 19,000 people through this district-sponsored, district-supported communication engagement. Now, in addition to that, with our targeted and help from Target River, we're about 1 million different interactions. And I mean 1 million, which means is that across screens, there's been 1 million times that the Nampa School District levy information has crossed a screen in front of somebody. On the top left, you have the Google ads. You have 712,000 Google ads from that 212 people, 221 people actually clicked the button in the ad to take them to our website. On the YouTube, some of the videos that we've produced, we've had 114,000 people who have seen that come across in the ads. This is not searched out YouTube. It's been an ad that has been on when people are just browsing YouTube. It's been the ad that pops up. Out of that, we're seeing about 1,800 views of our actual videos that's taken them to our videos and they've watched them. And then from inside the videos, we've had 10 more people that have gone directly to our site. So not only did they see the ad, they saw the video, and then they went to our website. Same thing with Meta. This is a different component. Again, we are doing Facebook, we're doing YouTube push outs, we're doing all these as well. But these are those who are in our geographic area of the school district that are getting these pushed out through their interactions with social media. This is Facebook. The Meta is the Facebook combination. So 172,000, almost 173,000 ads that have gone out in front of people. 136 have actually clicked on that and gone to our website to view our website. The next part is, in addition to our emails into our Parent Square communication, we've had 77,000 emails that have gone out. Of those 77,000, 14,000 have opened the email. And so you have a 26% opening rate, which is really high, by the way. I know that seems a little bit low, but we have seen averages in between 5 to 8% are good. So 26% is a very healthy number. Out of that, again, you have the 272 have gone to our website to review the content. So again, just information of how much we have put out in front of people, and it will continue through this week, next week, and into the first few days of November, right before the opportunity for the public to vote.
Tyler, can you go back real quick? Thank you. Thanks.
You're welcome. And again, our last one is we're still having the coffee and conversations is what we're calling it. We're sending out invites for anybody who'd like to come in and visit with us about the levy, ask us questions. We've had a few patrons who have come in and visited with us. And it's been really good conversations with them. A lot of wonderful, just, I want to know. And so it's been good conversations, some hard questions, really good questions. And so we've been very appreciative of that. So we do have 2 opportunities still coming for those coffee and conversation. One is on this week on the 23rd from 7 to 9 a.m. And then we have one next week on Tuesday on the 28th. And those are both here in the district office.
That's cool.
And so with that, we're happy to answer any other questions that you may have. And if we can try to answer those or get some more information for you.
Any questions? Sorry, I was deep in thought.
I think you guys have done a great job getting the word out so far. So.
Well, it's well over 1 million plus people.
Mm-hmm.
I think I've seen about 600,000 of them.
Thank you.
You're a top target.
Thank you.
I know.
Are you clicking? No, sorry. But again, that was our goal this time around.
Absolutely.
We wanted to do something different than we've done in the past, because that's a consistent message that we've received is we didn't know about it. So we really did a concerted effort to try to engage that. We think that we're reaping a little bit of those benefits of doing it a different way. Typically, it was a fairly standard way that had been repeated year after year after year. So this has been a different approach for us.
Yeah, and continuing using this approach, you'll probably get a lot more interaction. People tend to go back to what they see over and over again, and it's like the Parent Square. I mean, I think our patrons know that's where they get a lot of their information about the districts, and it shows that in the numbers.
Our opening rate is incredibly high for our parents getting into those messages, which we appreciate. We want to thank our parents for engaging in that platform. It's helpful.
And I know it's a lot of time invested by staff by being present physically to answer questions one-on-one, but I think that is the most effective way of really getting the message across and being available to answer questions, because that person's going to go back and talk to how many people, and that person's going to talk to how many people. So I appreciate the time that you guys are putting into that too, even though it's probably long days.
We appreciate it. I failed to mention one. Dr. Russell is now famous. He's been on the scoreboards at halftimes of the football games as well. So we actually
With
have
these messages?
Yes, with these
In the
messages.
middle of a football game?
Yeah, we did. We put it out there for them, and we'll do it also
Competing
this
with them.
weekend as well. We've been putting him out there just so that he has an opportunity to become even more famous.
Okay.
Chair Kirkman, trustees, other portion of the update, I'm going to have Tyler go ahead and bring up a slide, and do appreciate the efforts the team has made to kind of get that information out. Do think it's important to share with the trustees and the public potentials of what happens if the levy doesn't pass and what that might look like. And so going to share some general information for us to think about. The district has not put together really hard concrete plans, because most of our time has been getting information out and being hopeful that it'll pass. But if not, there's some things that I think we'll need to be aware of and consideration. And so Tyler's going to bring a couple of that slide here and walk through that. So about 5 or 6 items there that have a huge impact. And one of the things we've shared is this levy does have a huge impact on the day-to-day operations of the district. $6.5 million there is staffing in our continuing programs. So that will equates to about roughly around 45 and 55 staff positions. And I say that because that depends on administration, classified and certified staffing. And there's different salaries for each of those ranges. How that might look into a school, roughly around 2 or 3 FTE per school. And again, FTE, depending on the salary of that FTE or how that money is taken away, it could lead to, I think 7's high in secondary, more like probably 4 to 5, and around 3-ish in the elementary schools that we could be looking at some potential cuts on staffing there. So it just has a large impact that would affect class sizes, that could affect offerings, that could affect support for behaviors, and those type of things. So again, we'll have to take a hard look at staffing if that's an issue that comes up. We talked around curriculum a lot this afternoon and some of those new adoptions. One of the things I've been sharing with folks when I've been talking with them is curriculum is a little bit different from when we were in school. If you remember, we had textbooks and we still have textbooks. However, many of them are tied to a online digital portion of the curriculum. And so when I taught school, I think I have a 12-year-old reading program, was our reading program at that point. And it still worked because I still had the textbooks and things. But now with modern curriculums, there is that textbook portion, but there is that online portion. And what happens with the online portion is you lose access to be able to use that. I think the curriculum folks are purposely do that so that you have to renew and re-up. And so it would put a large challenge on our teachers on potentially losing some of those access points, as well as just not us updating our materials like we'd like. We've been really fortunate and blessed in Nampa to be able to have a continued curriculum adoption the last, I don't know, it's been going on about 7, 8 years now where we've been updating pretty consistently. And it's been beneficial to our staff as well. Now it's a challenge because, every year there's a new technology or new curriculum that they're going through typically. But ultimately it's helpful to not have an outdated materials as well. Our technology is a large portion of that. You can see how many devices there, how many that impacts our students, our teachers, losing some of those. And again, that's a tool that helps us access some of that online portion of that curriculum. And so it just puts a big challenge on that as well. We have a lease on our technology. And so that would put our lease in potential, be difficult for us to make that lease payment, and to put it easily. And that's not great for the district's credit when you have a lease. One of the reasons we do lease our devices is so that we can recycle those periodically, which is good because our devices do get old over time, and they're also hard to fix when you have that large of a fleet and the size of staffing we have. So the lease has been really beneficial to us. It just could be difficult for us to continue that. Our early childhood program, we have about 288 students that access that program, and that would be something we'd have to look at really closely about how many students we could allow in that program. We still would have the federal requirements behind Child Find and special ed services to be able to identify preschool students, provide education for them. But deal to provide the access that we have around our preschool program be limited for sure without having some of those funds. Activities and busing, that would be a large portion that we would lose. We'd lose salaries for our coaches and our directors. It would also not allow us to update any of the materials that we need for our sports athletic teams. And so we'd have to figure out a way to generate revenue to be able to make some of that up. And so what some things other districts have considered have been a pay to play. Don't know if that's what we would do or not, but it would be something, one way to generate revenue. Another way would be don't offer as many programs for students or activities for students. So it's kind of a two-way approach to do that, raise funds, but also cut back on some of the opportunities to have kind of meet that. But again, we'd have to consider that. I probably would have to talk to some other districts that have done something like that and just see what we do here. So again, not something we want to do. It'd also limit our athletics and activities, busing, field trip busings, some of those things we'd have to look at generate revenue for as well. Security is an important one. As you can see there, we have expanded our security with our SROs. One of our primary focuses has been trying to get SROs into our elementary schools, at least so that we have one SRO per 2 elementary schools has been our goal. We were able to add a couple additional SROs from our last levy. Losing those funds would put those SROs in potential loss for us, and we'd have to work with our city and our police department on that. Also, security cameras and some of the software update we have would be difficult for us to continue to upgrade that as that material and that software becomes updated. And then lastly, just playgrounds, our ability to upkeep those and maintain those. So not a fun thing to review and talk through, but I think it's important to know that it would have some major ramifications. If it doesn't pass, we'll start having to have some of these discussions, and then we'll have to talk as a board and share with some of the ideas and get some input on that. But anyhow, not a good note either to talk on, but don't want to not discuss it either.
No, it's a reality, potentially. All right, trustees, any other questions, comments, anything?
Question. So can you remind us again, since we were just talking about what would happen if we lost this opportunity, this revenue, how much would we be talking about per household or whatever per thousand? What would be that tax burden again?
If it passes?
Yeah, it was like $2 or 50 cents.
I don't know. Every time I look at it, it's going down.
Yeah, it's actually.
Yeah, so
50 cents
Trustee
or something,
Benz, I think your question talked about the current levy right now is $63 per 100,000 of taxable value is what the cost is. Our anticipation from receiving the money that the state has given Nampa, which is 10.8 million, that would drop that tax burden down to $40 per 100,000 for the levy portion. So again, the House $292 have been really beneficial to the district. Again, they asked that question. I kind of mentioned a little earlier in the meeting. That money's coming to the district no matter what. If the levy doesn't pass, that money would then be put into the facilities pot, which would be great. It would allow us to have some more money that we could use towards our facilities, not our maintenance, but towards a future facilities.
Well,
needs.
and nothing on that list, though.
But nothing on the list, as I mentioned earlier. Unfortunately, we wouldn't have the flexibility to be able to kind of use it for teaching or curriculum or for athletics and activities or some of those things that benefit our kids. But yeah, Tyler was able to bring that up, and
thank you.
There you are.
So Dr. Russell, on that note, so $40.63 down. So down from this year's levy or this levy that we have now. Would that change at all through next year?
Yeah,
Is there a
trustee.
possibility that could change if we don't get the funding from the state and so on and so on?
Yeah, Trustee Kirkman, good question. Yeah, there is a possibility that could change. The likelihood is we would get the funding. We believe we would, pretty confidently we would. But there's no guarantee in anything in the world. We know a major recession could come, tax revenue could drop, the state could have to make some drastic changes, and there's a possibility that we may not get House 292 money. And I think that's one of the reasons why the legislature has not allowed us to discuss that in the ballot when folks go, and understand that as well. But we received it 3 years in a row. And based on the information that we have now, we feel confident that we already have getting that money this year. We feel confident it'll be similar to next year. Of course, revenues could be down. So maybe it's not 10.8, maybe it's 10 million, maybe it's 10.4 million. Those are all things that we'd have to wait and kind of see. So anyways, based on the best information we have now, we think it's still important for our patrons to be informed about how that money is going to impact the actual tax outcome. This is the best information we have of as of today.
And that's, yeah, I mean, we can only provide what we can provide.
Right.
None of us have a crystal ball. I think. All right. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Russell. Good information. Anything else that needs to be brought up? All right. I will, we don't have to, I'll just adjourn. Where's my hammer? Or my gavel? We are adjourned at 8:09.